This is Channel Africa.
The only other expensive thing outside of a wedding is the divorce, unfortunately. But it does not mean our financial security gets to also be an expensive activity. Let's talk about recovering financially post-divorce. Joining us is our very good friend, the CEO of Sugar Creek Wealth and certified financial planner, Gerald Mwandiambira. Gerald, thank you so much for joining us on The Upside. So, you go from choosing flowers and a cake and the perfect dress and suit to now having to decide when the kids come on which weekend and which couch is yours. Let's talk about kind of planning for a divorce and what happens with your financial security.
Well, good afternoon to all your listeners as well. You don't really plan for a divorce. It's a traumatic time and emotionally it's stressful. So very few people have sober minds during divorce because sometimes you're looking at a situation where you've given years of your life and they've all come to naught. The best thing you can do when you're going through that situation is engage a lawyer or a professional financial planning professional to help you to navigate what needs to be done. It's a time for sober minds. It's a time for no emotions. I know a lot of people say, I don't want anything. I don't even want his name. I'm walking out. Never do that, because those are emotional decisions which you often tend to regret. You need to look at things like spousal support, maintenance for the children, where you will stay, and how you'll be able to survive, especially in a situation where perhaps you are dependent on your partner. So suddenly you're a woman who has given up the best years of her life and has no income.
And also you've supported, a man in his career or in, the business that he's built. Maybe, Gerald, chat to us about what some of the consequences are when you do walk away and you actually don't want anything. Because I think a lot of people, from an emotional perspective and psychological perspective, it's taxing to actually go through a divorce. And they don't want to have to emotionally also have to deal with that, never mind, physically. So let's chat about what the consequences are in that respect.
Okay, so my advice is never walk away, okay? I know how much you may want to have nothing to do with this guy. The best thing I would say is do spousal maintenance of $1 or even R1 per year. Even if you know that you're financially stable, put that in writing, because life turns and situations change. And you may need at some point to call on that spousal support if things change on your end. And if you've registered R1 or $1, you can increase it at any time if that is needed, especially if you are the one who has fallen hard financial times. I know a lot of women earn more than their men, so they're like, I don't need him anyway, so he can go. But always register and lodge a claim of R1 or $1 a year until such a point things calm down and your finances calm down. Because remember, when you divorce, you're moving from a situation of supporting one household to two households. So immediately you're going to have less. Even with the weekend visits, the transportation, a lot of things change which you had not thought of. So I say, think ahead, engage someone who can do the dirty work for you in terms of the negotiations and the hard discussions, but do not walk away, because even if you helped build that guy's wealth, you are entitled to your share for your time, for your effort, and your emotions which have been spent building this person. And many women find themselves in that situation where she had a degree and she stopped working to look after the children.
Yeah.
Not bad. But imagine trying to look for a job after 15 years of sitting at home. Who's going to employ you, So we say in this Women's Month, the women must be empowered to know that they have rights. Claim your spousal maintenance, claim the maintenance on the children, and make sure that you're not worse off than you were when you were married.
I feel like though it's quite reactive, the way that we respond to divorce and what happens then, because I don't think it's pretty much wise to be fully financially dependent. But in the case that you are, because there are such situations where women now are fully dependent, or the man is fully dependent on that person financially, and then boom, divorce happens where you don't necessarily have much of a say, you don't even have money for lawyers. Where do you start your life then, and what are some of the proactive decisions we can do in marriages to potentially prevent, in the event of a divorce?
Look, if you're in a marriage which is looking shaky, make sure that you're getting an allowance or you're putting some money aside somewhere so that if life happens, you have somewhere to fall back on. The first port of call normally is when there are children involved, he normally leaves and he leaves you the house. So if possible, get the house to be paid up and at least have somewhere to stay. It's easier for you to look after the children and just look for and feed them as opposed to paying a bond and school fees, etc. You can't plan for a divorce. It's never planned. But even the best marriages have some sad outcomes which no one saw coming. So I would say, as a woman, don't ever get too comfortable. Even if you're not earning an income, have a way of putting money aside, even if it's gifts or a side hustle or an allowance from him during better days. Rather put those things aside. Also, a lot of the time, have your jewelry appraised, your rings appraised, because I know women, the first thing they want to get rid of is the jewelry and the rings because it means nothing to them anymore. So that's one way to get going.
So you are allowed to sell your ring then, once it's over. Just checking. Gerald Mwandiambira, Chief Executive Officer of Sugar Creek Wealth and Certified Financial Planner, joining us right here on The Upside. I think we're going to continue the conversation just after econ and sports news. Gerald, if you can just hold on for us for a little bit, we're going to get into sport right now with Zycon. 18 minutes to 5 p.m. right here on The Upside on Channel Africa. We're chatting love, marriage, and the D word, divorce, right here on The Upside. We're back with our guest this afternoon, Gerald Mwandiambira, Chief Executive Officer of Sugar Creek Wealth. Good afternoon. Welcome back, Gerald. Can you hear us?
Geraldo.
I'm coming home.
Okay.
We can.
Geraldo. Can you hear us?
Okay.
Are we live,
Great.
Gerald?
Great. I think let's maybe pick up the conversation from the financial dependency chat, right? I think let's unpack it a little bit further. In the case where someone was not working, and you said that we should collect allowances, but things don't necessarily work like that, as per normal. Some people, they collect allowances and then the partner decides to financially abuse them by not giving them the allowance consistently, and people find themselves in a relationship where they have to almost beg for certain things to happen financially in the relationship. How do you navigate the financial abuse aspect of divorces?
Well, basically, when you reach the financial abuse of element, the marriage is over. So at that point, you just need to hire someone who can basically act as your intermediary and speak on your behalf. Go for half. There's nowhere else, nothing else you can do. Because there's no such thing as financial dependence. Even though they can be financially dependent, you can be financially dependent on your husband. He's dependent on you emotionally.
Gerald, can you perhaps shed some light for us from a man's perspective, how divorce generally affects men from a financial security perspective? Did you hear me, Gerald? Oh, no, I think we're having a connectivity issue with our guest this afternoon, but we'll try to get him back. Otherwise, we'll play more music.
It's the same disconnection that happens with couples when they're divorcing.
Divorce, not to be confused with divorce.
Broadcasting in 5 different languages, connecting the continent. This is Channel Africa, the African perspective.
We're back with our guest this afternoon chatting about divorce and marriage from a financial perspective, Gerald Mwandiambira. I was asking Gerald before we got cut off about men from their perspective, how, divorce affects them from a financial security element.
Look, it cuts both ways. Men can also claim spousal maintenance because they are stay-at-home husbands as much as they are professional women who are bringing in the bacon. So in terms of marriage, look at it as a financial contract because that's all it is. And when it does dissolve and you're getting through the dissolution of marriage called a divorce, you need to get what is due to you. And normally you have to know your marriage regime and simply go for half what's yours, half the pension fund, half the assets, half the debt as well. So it's not always just the assets, also half the debt belongs to each other. So it's not a nice period, but I say distance yourself from the emotions and simply hire someone to do your talking for you. Because you can't stand him, because he annoys you, because he wasted all these years, you will never have a rational comment to make to him at this time. Rather get an attorney or financial planner to simply talk numbers and find a civil way to end it.
And let's talk about also handling the kids' expenses as well. Is it right that post-divorce, is it supposed to be split 50-50? What does that look like? Because I know that in a lot of cases, the kids really form part of the financial distress of the parents.
Look, for the children, it's the worst time. You need to ensure that the children get counseling, because that's one of the things we all forget, that it's just the parents who are going through the divorce. It's actually worse on the children. So children need to go for financial counseling if your employee assistance program offers it, put them through financial counseling. If there's family members who can take the children, please put them there until such a time the home is safe. Because during this turbulent period, words are being exchanged and things are getting nasty, which can actually make things worse.
Gerald Mwandiambira, thank you so much for joining us on The Upside. Where can we catch you if we need to get a hold of you or catch your content?
You can catch me on www.askgerald.co.za, askgerald.co.za. On social media, it's at AskGeraldCFP, at AskGeraldCFP. Or if you like podcasts and videos, just type in the words, what they don't want you to know about money. What they don't want you to know about money.
You're a rock star. Thank you so much for joining us on Channel Africa this afternoon.
Thank you.
Thanks, Gerald.